Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa. We are so excited to have Carrie Fearman in the house, talk tennis with Carrie, and it couldn't be a better day to have you on the show.
That is very true.
Wow, what a day yesterday.
The tennis world has been divided. It's one of the hottest topics right now in the news. What is your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of drama for our tennis mama. The Serena issue is, I assume, what you're bringing up. Yeah. So she got very heated over, she got penalized for what the Carlos Ramos, who was the umpire on the court, called coaching, which is not allowed at any of the slams, but it is allowed all of the other WTA tournaments. And he admitted to coaching. You can see on TV he actually gets caught doing a symbol kind of like this. But she denies it. You see her going to the line judge. It's all recorded and saying, this didn't happen. He was kind of giving me a come on, bring it up. And then that escalated to her slamming her racket, getting a point violation, and then escalated later to a whole game violation because he said that she called him a thief for taking the point from her. And he said that was drunk. If he wants to take a game.
Wow.
For things like that. So the biggest, I think, controversy over the whole thing is whether or not the word thief was derogatory. Was it strong enough? Was it really valid enough to, is that a valid enough claim to take a whole game? Which also made it then 5-3 in the second set. So then one more game and Osaka's going to win.
Well,
so
it's a really interesting conversation and debate, though, what's happening with sexism, right? Yeah. Because they're saying her reaction compared to a male player's reaction, she was getting the penalty, and was she treated fairly in that? Yeah. The community is pretty divided when it comes to that. I would say that more lean towards Serena. Billie Jean King has made a lot of statements about it. She's tweeted, Andy Roddick has tweeted, and he's even said, he said that he's said much worse and not gotten fined and gotten penalized, which is true.
They threw back to a time when John McEnroe had a big fit, and he did get penalized. But we're not tennis, experts or whatever, so it's just fascinating to watch the whole thing. But you have to think also that, in life, where is that line between when you can be expressed and be, have emotions versus when it becomes inappropriate? And I think it's an interesting thing. And when is that for a man versus a woman? And we may have it's very different in our world. A man, if he is loud and has an opinion or even screams, he's just aggressive and gonna, make it, whereas a woman is a bee or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, and that's the big, issue at hand here is if this were a men's match, would it have been the same decision or would it have gone another way? And, there are a lot of men's matches that we can point out that, John McEnroe got a lot of game and point violations.
Right, yeah.
But there are also plenty of instances where men said much worse things. Fabio Fognini, Andy Roddick is known to be a hothead. There are so many. And it's so subjective. And they have that decision, the ump. And Carlos Ramos, who was the ump here, he's a veteran ump, is known to be pretty tough. He's been tough on Nadal also, though, which is the flip side of the argument. And he has penalized Nadal many times for taking too much time in between points, in between games. And so, it's a tough one.
If I understand it correctly, are they now reviewing some of these rules, or at least some of the coaching? I heard they were sort of reviewing, the organization was reviewing how they process, how they penalize, whether they penalize or not.
Definitely. The USTA is going to go back and they're going to review everything, because she also got fined $17,000 for this whole ordeal. So she's really just getting hammered, time after time. And this was her slam to win also, because I don't know if you guys know the history, but she's at 23 slams, Grand Slam titles, which tied with Steffi Graf's record. It's huge. And then 24 would tie with Margaret Court, which is the all-time record. 25 would make history. So a lot of people, like myself, kind of think she came back from having a baby because she made such a great comeback after all of that.
Absolutely.
It's huge. And, but it's clear, you can watch her social media and stuff, she's all about family and about baby. And so I kind of feel like she's back to break that record. And then maybe she'll go into the next phase of her life.
Yeah.
Right.
And she went to the finals in Wimbledon, lost to Kerber. Now she got here, and having Osaka as her opponent is a huge opportunity to take this, because Osaka's 20 years old, great up-and-coming player, but relatively new. So she had a big opportunity here.
You know what I think is so interesting, though, about you is not only are you an expert of the game, but you're an expert of the talk outside of the court as well, in the lifestyle. And we really want to discuss what it takes for someone to be on top of their game. You know, Serena's making a great comeback and has the priority of being a mother now, but she's still, regardless of the win, in my opinion, she's on top of her game.
Yeah.
You know, but what does it really take to stay in that mindset, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be really focused and really determined. And I think you have to make sure that you don't let outside negative influences kind of invade your space, because I think that it's easy for that to happen.
I think that's what's surprising about it, don't you think? Because if someone like her who is so driven and she knows specifically, like she has to in her mind have gotten like, if the worst case happens, I'm still staying on point. That's what's surprising actually about the whole thing.
Yeah.
You do see that with a lot of standout athletes, though. I mean, LeBron, Michael Jordan. You know, there's always, you're still human at the end of the day, and you see them like react from this very like upset, angry place, and often it's directed at the official, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was something else kind of that emotionally charged her there, because she really got fired up about this. And I get it though, because she took it personally and took it like he was attacking her in a deeper level, saying that she was cheating. And he wasn't necessarily, I think, saying that, but it was more just in his mind, I think, going by what he thought was coaching and then just the rules. But she took it very personally and then continued going. But, you know, there's a lot going on with her, you know, between the French Open just ruling out her cat suit, not allowing, you know, her to wear what she wore at the French Open next year.
So she brought out her tutu.
Yeah, I loved, by the way, which I loved. But I mean, she had a lot, maybe like simmering. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
But I think that's an important one, is you can't let those outside negative influences.
But how did you do that? Because obviously, I mean, you played tennis for so long, and now having a show, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise on the court. There's a lot of noise in social media. Like, how do you personally do that?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever easy, because, and you guys probably get this too, it's like everyone has an opinion. And I guess I interviewed Lindsay Davenport once, and I worked with her in Australia. She's an ex-player, and she's just really wise, in my opinion. And I asked her, I said, what's your best advice that you would give somebody up and coming in the game? And her advice was, only take advice from the people who care about you, your family, and maybe a friend or two. But for the most part, don't let people, because everyone's going to insert their judgment. No one really knows what's in your best interest, though, other than the people who love you. And as hard as that is, because it is so hard, it's hard not to take things personally sometimes. When I was starting Talk Tennis, I had a lot of, you know, people coming at me with questions and, you know, making me insecure. And it was a bit of a like scramble to kind of get into networks or get into people's, you know, faces, and who would listen to me and get them to finally understand and listen to what I was doing. But perseverance and, you know, as cliche as it sounds, don't ever give up. But it is true, and it's true. It's a hard thing. I think there's a lot of talented people out there that if they didn't give up would make it, but that's the hardest thing not to do, you know.
Would you say that that's your greatest lesson that has sort of tennis has taught you in the talk show, or sort of being in the entertainment business itself has taught you, is sort of perseverance and sort of not giving up? Or what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned through this journey yourself?
It's definitely one of them. Yeah, it's definitely, and I think I've learned a lot about myself too, really. It's been, because you really have to internally know who you are and kind of develop that in order to be able to kind of take what's coming in, positive, negative, and then, you know, take it and then let it go. Or take it and really take it to heart, depending on what it is. But yeah, I mean, perseverance, confidence, keep going. Because there are a lot of times that I was thinking like, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to go ahead. And, you know, I certainly was no Charlize Theron who got discovered. Right. You know, it took a while.
It's more than a score.
Yes.
And the thing is that I think it's interesting, because on this show, we really talk a lot about mindset. What does it take in a core level? And you take a look at these high athletes. I mean, they're the top of the top of the top. What does it take? And people look and they cherish this, but at the same time, to become that takes something at a level that none of us really even could ever imagine. Watching and knowing these people, I'm sure you kind of analyze the back of their lives. What does it take to be the top athlete?
Good question.
Yeah, it takes a lot of focus and a lot of grinding and a lot of, you know, not getting distracted by outside influences, which is kind of what we were just talking about also. And it's an interesting thing to explore in the world, because you take kind of a Nick Kyrgios. If you guys follow, he's kind of the bad boy of tennis right now, right? But I've interviewed him many times. I've done events with him. I think he's fabulous. I think he's great for the sport. He's extremely entertaining. But he's one of those people that's just naturally really talented. He doesn't have to hit the court every day and just grind and grind and grind necessarily. He's just naturally got it. If he were to get on the court, though, and kind of grind like a lot of these other guys who it's not as, or women, who it doesn't come as naturally to, he could be, our next Roger Federer, perhaps. But it takes a lot because these guys, these women and men are also very young for the most part. And so they're not having a lot of the experiences that perhaps we all had, or that I had in college when I didn't have that mindset and I dropped off my college team and decided to join a sorority instead.
So that begs the question. Do you think Serena actually played this out? Like she knows, we know bad press is good press. And we know that it fuels her career in that people are watching. Do you think that she planned it out at all?
No. I don't think that this was planned by any means on her part. I mean, Serena is Serena Williams. She doesn't need too much more, press. So if she's going to get press, I think she's going to want it to be positive, not this kind of an explosion. And this is going to, for sure, without a doubt, go down in history as one of the, biggest things that's happened in a Grand Slam final. There's the Jeff Tarango incident that happened at Wimbledon that will go down in history. And I think this will be right up there with it on a different level, though, because, but that was an issue with the umpire as well. It's definitely something, 20 years down the road, I think that everyone's going to still remember. And God, it's kind of unfortunate to me. And I don't think she planned it. And I think it's unfortunate for her that this happened. And I think it's unfortunate for Naomi Osaka because it certainly took away from her win because the attention is mostly on
Serena.
This drama.
How do you feel about the press conference afterwards with Serena about Osaka? I felt she did a pretty good job of being pretty classy about it.
I agree. And on the court too.
Yeah.
During the ceremony because, you see Osaka starting to cry. She's young, she's new to the game. This is a huge win for her. Super shocking and surprising.
She won in straight sets, right?
Straight sets, 6-2, 6-4. And so she definitely outplayed Serena in the first set. No question. Serena had a 38% first serve percentage, and that's extremely low for her. She wasn't playing great, but then the second set, it's like, had all of this not happened, it's maybe up for debate how it would have gone. But Serena did handle everything incredibly well. She gave her a hug because Osaka was crying, and we're not so sure it was happy tears or if it was like kind of anxiety over this is my big win, this is how I'm winning.
Totally.
I think, she probably wanted to go down in history as winning this, as the first Japanese player to win a Grand Slam, not as, oh, well, maybe had this not happened, it would have gone another direction. And, it's because of the drama. But, she's an excellent player. She is a wrecking ball on the court. She played great. So I definitely do not want to negate from the fact that Osaka rocked it.
Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time.
Okay.
Tell people where they can find you, where they can keep up on what you're up to.
You can find me on my website at www.talktenniswithkerry.com or on Instagram at Kerry, it's Kerry, Lynn, Lynne 36.
Woo.
Love it.
Look good, feel good, play good.
That's
We'll be
right.
back with more on Good Morning La La Land.